This is how Cameron and Sarkozy drew a glittering image about Libya's bright future just after an illegal military intervention by the two old colonial powers.
Your city was an inspiration to the world as you threw off a dictator and chose freedom.
I want to thank them also what they did for us, like to help us in NATO, and when they start to make a decision in United Nations also, I'm going to thank them, really.
The cheering citizens of the then richest African nation could not even imagine the dark days to come. Just prior to the military intervention, Africa's wealthiest nation had the highest GDP per capita and life expectancy on the continent. Fewer people lived below the poverty line than in the Netherlands. Years on, and the fake heaven is now turned into a real hell, with militias variously local, tribal, regional, Salafi or criminal continue to plague Libya. South of the country has become a haven for terrorism, and the northern coast is a prominent hub of human trafficking to Europe and beyond.
I am horrified at news reports and video footage showing African migrants in Libya reportedly being sold as slaves.
The country has remained beset by turmoil since 2011, and almost 9 years on, Libyans are still suffering from the consequences of the destruction. The country's stark political divisions have yielded two rival seats of power, one in eastern Libya under the command of General Khalifa Haftar and his self-proclaimed Libyan National Army, and another in Tripoli, governed by the internationally recognized government. Haftar launched a military campaign last month to capture the capital Tripoli, thanks to his backers, particularly the UAE, which has its own economic and geopolitical interests in the country.
As you remember, as I was leaving Benghazi and leaving Libya, I said I was deeply concerned and that I had a heavy heart with the possibility of a serious confrontation in and around Tripoli. Unfortunately, until now, that feeling has been entirely confirmed.
Haftar, the former exile who returned to Libya during the 2011 war and served as the head of the new army under the first post-Gaddafi government, has strong links with the UAE regime. Like many other atrocities in Libya, Abu Dhabi's fingerprint could be easily identified in the current campaign. Since last month, when campaigns flared up again, the UAE's interventions in Libya stagnated the country's pace and democratic process, further fueling divisions in the country.
نسبيا ممكن السكان بصفة عامة اعتادوا على الحرب، لأن هذه تعتبر بالنسبة لنا الحرب الأهلية الثالثة بالنسبة لطرابلس، فاحنا اعتدنا الحياة يعني إلى درجة كبيرة الحياة اعتيادية. ممكن المدارس مقفلة، التعليم متعطل. الهجمة بصراحة كانت غير متوقعة وجت في توقيت كنا نتمنى أن يكون في مؤتمر جامع مثلا وأن البلاد تمشي للاستقرار. احنا ماناش راضيين بأن طرابلس تخش، شخصيا نتكلم على نفسي، على حكم عسكري، وفي نفس الوقت ما نبوش الميليشيات. يعني احنا نأملوا أن تكون في دولة مدنية ويكون في استقرار ويكون في مستقبل أفضل لأولادنا.
The democratic transition sought by the United Nations and others in the international community, aimed at unifying Libya's rival political and military factions, is now directly challenged by the tiny Persian Gulf regime's adventurism. The regime is also strengthening its military foothold deep inside Libya. The satellite images show that Al Khadim military base, controlled by UAE forces near the city of Marj in eastern Libya, witnessed remarkable developments during the period from March 2017 to November of the same year. In violation of UN arms embargo, the Emirati regime has allegedly used the base to boost air power for forces loyal to Haftar in military conflicts back in June 2017. Abu Dhabi's violation of UN's embargo on Libya continues now. Fathi Bashagha, the Interior Minister of the internationally recognized National Accord government in Libya, has announced in a TV interview, "We received information that a plane came from a country and landed at Benghazi airport carrying military equipment, which is contrary to UN resolutions. According to electronic monitoring by satellite, the plane left Abu Dhabi and reached the base of Banina." But Emirati dictators' ambitions do not stop there. The nuts and bolts of Emirati interventionism in the oil-rich North African country move to a spotlight when its clandestine intelligence and political activities come into perspective. Other than the UAE's growing ambitions to expand hegemony in North Africa, Abu Dhabi also aims to control Libya's significant oil reserves through Haftar. Last June, the UAE and Haftar agreed to illegally reroute oil away from UN-directed channels and instead through Emirati oil companies, attempting to remove control from the state-owned National Oil Corporation and the UN-backed government. On the political level, the UAE is playing the Haftar card to counter its regional rivals. Whilst it publicly supports UN resolutions, the backing of Haftar could be attributed to the desire to bolster the Libyan commander as an alternative to the Islamist forces in the region, thought to be backed by Qatar and Turkey. Evidence suggests that behind the UAE's claims about its strictly humanitarian nature of operations and the hyped aid donations lay its plans to infiltrate into the very fabric of Libya's future politics. And the regime sees no red line in bribing different political forces in Libya. The UAE's support of Haftar has not only been military and political, but comprehensive multi-dimensional support involving intelligence, media support, and financial backing. Tens of millions of Emirati dirhams are spent every year on Libyan-operated media outlets, including satellite television stations beaming from Jordan and Egypt, in addition to other news, internet, and social media outlets. The UAE's dictators never wanted a genuine democratic model in Tripoli, which could become a source of inspiration or an aspiration for the people of the UAE. Libya certainly has many competitive advantages over the UAE, such as its strategic location being so close to Europe, its vast national resources holding the highest oil reserves in Africa, and its moderate Mediterranean climate. The regime is ready to take any measure necessary to eliminate such potential threat.